Yes.
Hi, it's Lynn. Sorry, my camera's not working. I
Oh,
definitely do have
no
it on.
worries. Thanks for trying, Lynn. I appreciate that. That's fantastic. So right off the bat, welcome. Thanks for showing up. These days are so precious, right? Between Christmas, New Year's, hopefully a little bit of a downtime, or it's just a different time, right? And so I understand these days are super precious. And so as always, for us, it's about bringing value. So hoping today that we're going to stick to, 20 minutes, half an hour, right? So everybody's always thinking, what am I doing next? 20 minutes, half an hour that we can hopefully be present, walk away with some value and something tangible you can actually use to move forward in your facility. And and maybe just open up, just some ideas for you. Okay, so as we get going, my name's Tamara Cinnamon, and I am one of the co-owners of Equine Assisted Way with my business partner, Jessica Kosheff, who's also on the call today, which is super exciting. And so the round pen, this is just an extension. So for those of you who may not be in the round pen, it's a place for all of us, a place for us to collaborate, to get out of competition, to start realizing that we're so much better together. We believe, we've all seen, when I say we, all of us, we have all seen the impact of horses in humans, right? I think we can also agree that there's not enough of it happening out in the world. And yesterday in the round pen, I was really curious to see where everyone's from. So neat to see people from all over the world. And I think that's the one piece, is that we all know the effect that horses and humans have, but we have to be able to share it further. And so that's what the round pen is. And so if you're not in the round pen, click it on Facebook and please jump in there, ask questions, bring your ideas. This idea of professional facilitators inspiring innovative ideas. You're the professional facilitators, not just Jess and I, right? It's each of you. And so get in there, and that level of professional that when we all, and it's act in that level of professionalism, that's when we're going to see this industry really, really grow. So let's jump to it. And so I had this last time where I wouldn't move forward, and now it's, there we go. Tricks, can you give me a thumbs up? Do you see life skills building blocks? Oh, we're ahead of last time. So, all right. So on our last round pen call, which we're going to do monthly, we gave out the bonus exercise of the life skill building blocks. If you don't have it, all you have to do after the call is go into the round pen, go into files, and it's right there, the entire exercise for you to download. But as you heard on the call, and you hear me say a lot, it's about facilitating in the unknown moments. It's not about just having an exercise. What an exercise is, in my opinion, is confidence in your back pocket, right? And I'd love just to see with hands, how many of you just feel like that's what you need? You got to have something as you head out into your herd, some idea of, geez, what could I talk about, or what could I do? Do any of you run into problems with that, where you're thinking, I just don't know what to do next? Yeah, so I'm seeing some head nods. So again, this is not meant to be, this is exactly how you do it. This is meant to be, this is how the exercise works. But number one is really stepping back and allowing the horse-human connection, okay? Allowing the horses to step up, allowing them to work where they need to work amongst the exercise that you're looking to do. Okay, so life skills building blocks, this really is a foundational exercise. And when I say that, I mean, I pretty much run this in some way, shape, or form for everyone I work with, and usually in the first session or two. Okay, can definitely be worked with groups as well. And so those base, when I say foundational, isn't it foundational for all of us, that those skills, life skills, confidence, trust, etc. And so it really, as it says, illustrates the power of asking for questions and asking for help. And a really interesting point I'll get to in a moment, how the clients respond to each of these. And when you take note for the future, you're setting them up as well as yourself up for your further sessions. So let's jump into it. So again, I'm flexible. This is just a visual. So in your round pen, in your arena, in your space that you have, whatever it looks like, you're going to set up really 3 barrels and a triangle on the ground. Okay, so where you see the talking triangle, I have 3 rails set up in a triangle. That's it, and it's always in my pasture, where we work. Everyone knows it as the talking triangle. Everyone knows that, you know, sometimes they'll actually just go over there with their horse. They need to talk, and that's where they go. Sometimes they want me there, sometimes they don't. But it is a staple in our arena. So a talking triangle, and then you can see there's simply 3 barrels. They don't have to be barrels. They can be anything that you have. I like barrels because I can put things on them. But 3 goalpost markers, okay? In between barrel 1 and 2, you'll see there's some pylons. I really do like to have that. And on the pylons, I like to have words, okay? So maybe it's myself, maybe it's relationships, maybe it's health, maybe it's wealth, career, my past, my future. Anyways, just some labels, just 1 label on each pylon. May use them, may not. Okay, between barrel 2 and 3, you can put something there. You don't have to. Again, this is flexible. This is really just giving you a setup to be able to work through an exercise. And between barrel 3 and the talking triangle, or back to barrel 1, I have some logs on the ground. And again, they're obstacles. And always a great analogy that when people come around that corner and they see something different, just a log on the ground, just a rail, just a pool noodle, like whatever it is you want, they see an obstacle. And it's really interesting how people's whole psyche changes when they see an obstacle. And it's such a great analogy point of obstacles in life, right? Where we're going along, we've got everything, we're a confident being, we know where we're going, we know we're building our business. Boom, we come around the corner and there's a rail on the ground and there's an obstacle and we go, I don't know what to do next. As opposed to, I still have the confidence. I still know where I'm going. I still know where I'm building my business, and I'm just going to go over that log. So just a side note. So this is your basic setup. Do it however you like. Really, you need 3 goalposts and a starting or ending point, which I like the triangle on the ground. So make it your own. So what you're going to do, your client comes just like normal. And we talked about last time, we really work on 4 pillars, and the number 1 being present, right? Getting yourself present, of course, some sort of an exercise to help your client get present. And then from there, allowing your client in their present place to go out and mix amongst the herd for a few minutes. I am a really big advocate of allowing the horse to choose and allowing the horse to step up. And so 9.9 times out of 10, given the extra few minutes, a horse will step up, okay? As long as they're present, one of the horses is going to step up. So to start for round 1, whatever horse steps up is perfect. Okay, halter them, bring them over to the talking triangle to get ready. Okay, so you've got your client, they're present, they've got a horse, they're at the talking triangle, and we're going to start on round 1. So what's round 1? It's help and questions. So I have, and I'll just show you here, a piece of paper, and it says help and questions on it. Okay. I carry this board around with me. You can see everything else is blocked out. All they see is help and questions. So I'm simply carrying my board and I say, okay, real quickly. And I literally say it real quickly. All I want you to do, take your horse, go over to that barrel, go to that barrel, go to that barrel, come over the logs, come back here. Okay. And so I say it really quickly off the bat because it's not my job to handhold them through it. And that's the exercises. They're learning it themselves. So this is what I want you to do. And for round 1, we're focusing on help and questions. So I'm here. If you need any help, I'm here to help you. And if there's any questions you have, I'll answer anything. But here's the thing, it's up to you to ask me. Okay. And then oftentimes I'll think about saying any questions because we're so used to helping people, right? But then I don't. That's all I say. It's up to them to ask me. Okay. And then I stand there. And so usually they're kind of standing there, and most people do, 9.9 times out of 10, nobody asks for help or a question, and they start to go. And so as they go around barrel 1, most people will make it halfway between barrel 1 and barrel 2, and usually their horse will freeze. Okay. Or, and again, it doesn't matter. Here's the thing is we're professionals. It doesn't matter what the horse does, but 9 times out of 10 between barrel 1 and barrel 2, the horse is going to do something. The horse is going to freeze, or the horse is going to totally ignore the person, try to leave. And the reason is because the person needs help or they need to ask a question. A confused mind can't make a decision. Okay. And so when they hit confusion, because they're not quite sure where they're going, they're not quite sure what they're supposed to be doing, self-doubt comes in, it blows their confidence. Next thing you know, they can't move the horse, or the horse is acting out. Okay. And so what do I do at this moment? We as facilitators can easily wreck the moment by jumping in and being like, why is your horse freezing? Do you need help? You know, that's not the deal. This is a life skill they need to learn. So I just walk around with my little sign here, and I just walk around, maybe near them, maybe not. And it's really an interesting thing, because some people may try to drag the horse, in which I'm going to step in and say, don't drag the horse, you know, and then I'll probably say something like, horses don't follow lead ropes, and they don't follow halters, they follow leaders. And then I walk away, because again, we have to steward our animals, but that's the only place I'm going to jump in. Okay, is if it's something like that. Eventually, one of a few things, and again, this is that facilitating in the unknown moments. I have had people that don't get around the first working with help and questions, because they'll never ask for help, they'll never ask questions, and I'm not going to allow them to drag the horse. Okay, again, none of that matters. It's about being in the moment, being present, allowing, you know, the session to go where it needs, and being aware that it's going to go exactly where it needs. But most people, again, so as they get going, eventually, hopefully they'll ask you for some help, and then we can talk about that. Based on their help, based on their questions, most people will get around to the talking triangle. And it's at that place that I start talking. Okay. And so at that place, let's just say most people won't ask for help. They really have a hard time. I'll say, so how did you find it having to be the one to ask me for help? Okay, that would be a great question, right? I noticed you did not ask for any help. You didn't ask any questions. Do you think it would have been easier if you had? Most people would say yes. Again, I'm just throwing out ideas and questions. I may ask something like, things went a lot better when you asked for help and questions. Where in your life do you think things would be easier or better for you right now if you asked for help? What specific help do you need to ask? Who out there do you need to ask for help? What are you struggling with right now that if you just asked a question, it might make your life easier? Can you see where I'm going with this? You could ask a gazillion questions. And between barrel 1 and 2, as a reminder, your pylons have words on them. So if they're frozen at myself, maybe that's the pylon says myself. And they won't, then at the talking triangle, I might say, I noticed your horse froze at myself. What help do you need to move forward in your life? Do you ever feel stuck and you feel like nobody's asking? So you can see where, depending what happened, you're going to simply ask the questions, because the horses are picking up on the incongruences in them. And so a lot of times I'll get real pushy on people at this point and say, you know, so is it really worth struggling for your life because you're not willing to ask for help? There's so much out there, but you know, you're so stuck in your way or whatever it is. Okay, so that's the end of round 1. Okay, so we move on to round 2, confidence. So I go back to my thing here and I slide down my sheet and we have confidence on that. Okay, so I'll say, okay, real simple. We're going to do the exact same thing, except for this time, I want you to step into the most confident you. Okay, and so think of a time when you've been confident, or what is it that makes you feel confident? And all I want you to do is do the exact same, barrel 1, 2, 3, back to the talking triangle in your most confident self. And I want to remind you that you still have help and questions. So this time you're going to work with confidence, but I'm always here to help. I'm always here to answer questions, but it's up to you to ask me, and you let them go. 9 times out of 10, this is going to be a much better round. Okay, unless you're working with someone that has no grasp of confidence, they have no prior anchors to confidence. And so when you say find that place of confidence, they can't find it. Okay, and so generally, and again, it doesn't matter when I say generally, we facilitate in unknown moments. We go with, this is just back pocket exercise for you to be able to work through. Okay, and so with confidence, most people will go to barrel 1, they'll get to barrel 2 pretty good. It's usually between barrel 2 and 3 they'll lose their confidence, or coming around and they see those laws. Okay, again, you're walking around with your sheet, you're saying nothing. Really resist the urge to jump in. Okay, we all do it. That's not our place. I always say it's not the person, your friends who pat you on the back and say you're the best that move you forward. It's the ones that kick you in the ass that do. Okay. And so that's your job as facilitator. They came out to learn, they came out to grow. Okay. So confidence generally, and I don't want to set you up for failure, goes quite well. Okay. Because they come around and then we talk about, oh, I should back up. What I love to do at the beginning is say, where's your confidence? You got a 1,200-pound horse. As you go, scale of 1 to 10, where's your confidence? Most people will, well, I shouldn't say most people. This is an interesting answer, because if they say really high, but they display low confidence, that's an interesting conversation at the talking triangle. Other people may say, I'm like a 3, I'm not very confident. And then they nail it going around. And then by the end, they'll say, so what do you now? Scale to 1 to 10. And those 3s very quickly get quite high. And honestly, some of the people that rated themselves really high are actually a little lower at the end, because they realize that it's an overconfidence piece. So that's a good talking triangle conversation is, why did you rate yourself so low? Because you weren't that low. Based on the horse, based on the nonverbal communication of the horse, you were confident. So why do you rate yourself so low? What areas of your life do you rate your confidence low? Did you have a hard time finding your confidence? Do you have a hard time in life finding your confidence? Do you think it was easier because you had confidence than when you didn't? Okay, so again, what areas of your life, if you just added a bit of confidence in yourself and said, hey, why not? Could you be further ahead? Okay, these are the types of questions you can move through. Round 3, trust. This is my favorite. Well, I shouldn't say, it's one of my favorite rounds. So again, you got the drill, you slide down, you got trust. Don't let people see it ahead of time. They start to go ahead and make decisions in their mind what's going to happen as opposed to what's actually going to happen. Okay. Trust, I love. If they have a horse that is rideable, I love putting people on the horse, because there's nothing like I'm confident and I believe in myself and then throwing them on a horse. Okay. So if you have a horse that you can put them on the horse. If not, that's okay. So for trust, same thing. I'll say, okay, so this round, we're going to work on trust. And so let's get you on the horse, get them on the horse or not, if you're not going to. Then I like to talk about there's 3 elements of trust. Okay. So in this situation, there's trust in yourself, there's trust in me, and there's trust in the horse. Okay. At our ranch, we talk about the 3 elements of trust all the time, because it's always the same. It's themselves, it's the other people in the situation, and it's the situation. The situation on the ranch is the horse, but the situation in life might be alcohol. I don't know what it is. Okay. So we'll talk about trust and say, okay, so let's rate your trust. What's your trust in me? What's interesting, most people will rate you really high. That's a talking triangle piece. Why are you rating me high when you don't know me? Okay. The horse, how much do you trust the horse? 1 to 10. And how much do you trust yourself? 1 to 10. Most people will rate you, the trust in you, higher than the trust in themselves, pardon me. Okay. Everything you're learning in this exercise sets you up to work with that client forever, because now you know where their pieces are. Okay. So they're on the horse or not, but let's say they're on the horse, and we're just before we get going, I say, oh, one more thing. We're going to blindfold you. All of a sudden, trust has gone out the room, right? And so we blindfold them. And I haven't said I'm going to lead them. I haven't said anything. Okay. So they got a blindfold on. If they're not on the horse, they still have a blindfold on the ground. Just a safety note and an awareness piece. Obviously always ask before blindfolding someone. Some people, you don't know what's happened in their past. Covering their eyes could be a major piece for them. Just be slow in this piece. Okay. So I have never had anybody say no. Sometimes you have to work through it though. Okay. So now they're blindfolded and you're going to say, and I want to remind you, we're going to have to use trust to get around here, but the horse is going to have to trust us. How's the horse going to trust us? Confidence. We need to step into our confidence. Okay. And then we have help and we have questions. So you need to get around the barrels, back to the talking triangle, using those 3 pillars. And then I'm quiet. And it's, again, this is a very interesting point, because how we all do one thing is how we do everything. So I still have people, not everybody, but there are some people who will still sit there and struggle to ask for help. What kind of help do you need? How do you, well, I want to get on this course. Well, how do you want that to happen? You want me to lead? And again, I'm not going to give them ideas. They need to tell me, because so often we cannot express what we need. And so some people don't get past this part, right? They're there, they're working on trust, they're trying to work on their confidence. They don't know how to ask for the help or specifically ask the questions to be able to get the help needed to get around, okay? Go around the barrels, get back to talking, trying them again. If they say I need help, great. What does that look like for you? So don't tell them, okay, would you like me to lead the horse around, right? What do you need? Okay. Go around, get back to talking triangle. Obviously you can pull their blindfold off, or maybe they're walking. This is a place where people start getting real powerful, because now they've made it around. Now they've realized the only way they were getting around that was their trust, their confidence, their help and questions. But the flip side of trust is where trust has been broken. And if you ever meet with somebody where trust has been broken, this is a huge, huge loop for them, because they have to put all of their trust into another human being and a 1,200-pound animal, okay? They have to find confidence in themselves to do that, to be able to get the horse to go, okay? So trust where trust has been broken is so powerful. And bringing that up to people, because most people don't talk about where trust has been broken, and it's in that place that people shut down, because their trust has been broken and nobody talks about it, as opposed to let's bring that up. And so again, rate them, have them rate. What's the trust in yourself after that? What's your trust in me? What's your trust in the horse? At this point, because many people do that, if they rated me high and themselves low, I bring it up. I noticed I don't know you, and you rated me as a 9, trustworthy. Why was that? Okay, you rated yourself as a 5. Why was that? At the end, you rated yourself much higher. Why was that? It's always confidence. They always say it's because I'm confident. Okay. So where in your life, if you fully trusted yourself, if you found a place to trust where trust has been broken, you brought your confidence and you asked for what you needed, where would your relationships be? Or again, you're going to have a theme because you've been talking with them for 3 rounds, right? That problem at work, where would that be if you were actually showing up in trust, showing up in confidence, and asking for what you need and asking the questions you need to ask to move forward? Where would you be? Most people are crying at this point if you've gotten real clear on asking the hard questions. We're not working on a specific example because I want to show you how you have to, facilitate in the unknown moments. But when you're working on a specific example, it's deep by this point. Okay. And our 4th and final round, and again, I want to be clear, you may only make it to round 1. Great. Next session, you can move to round 2. You move at the pace they need to move. And how do you know? The horse is giving their nonverbal communication. You're allowing the horse to be the professional they are. You're sitting back and asking fantastic questions. Okay. And our last, again, of course, you've got your thing you're walking around with. It's choice and options. Okay. So then I'll say, okay, so what I'd like you to do this round is just to start to walk with your horse. This is all about choice and options. Start to walk with your horse. Before barrel 2, I want you to unhook your horse. I want you to be working in trust, confidence, reminder you have help and questions. When you're in that place where you're fully trusting yourself, you're fully confident, I want you to unhook that lead off your horse, and I want you to confidently believe they're going to follow you and meet me back at the talking triangle. And I already know as facilitator in your mind, you're going, oh my gosh, what if the horse doesn't follow? My horses won't follow, whatever it is. I say, great. Whether the horse follows or not, it does not matter. That's the beauty of the final round. Okay. By this point, I would say 99% of the time, the horse will follow for at least half of the course. Some are going to follow and stick right with them on the invisible lead. Okay. So as they get to the end, we talk about choice and options and say, okay, so your horse left between barrel 2 and barrel 3. How did that make you feel? Most people will think that that's sad. And I'll say, you know what? It's amazing because your horse in choice followed you. They appreciated your trust, your confidence. They followed you for part of it, but they kept themselves in choice and they had the option to leave and they decided that was best for them at that point. Okay. And that's fantastic because if you left yourself as client in choice and options, and you didn't worry about what you should do, shoulding all over ourselves, what would you do in that situation we're talking about? Or what would you do in your career? What would you do in your business? What would you do in your relationships, etc.? Okay, so you can see how you can work it in there. If the horse followed the whole way, I'd like to point out that that horse in choice and options chose to stay with you. Why was that? They're going to tell you it's trust or confidence. It's one of those places because they were someone they wanted to be around. Okay, so it does not matter what happens the last round, whether the horse bolts, whatever it is, it absolutely does not matter. And so then the question at the end, I always say to people, if you always left yourself in choice in your life, if you always left a back door, if you needed, okay, what would your trust look like in your life? If you knew you had always taken care of yourself and you had an exit point, would you trust more? Would you trust yourself more? Would you do other things? Go into situations that maybe you don't because you don't trust yourself in them? I mean, this could just be new friends. It could be anything, right? Whatever you're working on. Okay. If you had the trust because you knew you had left choice and options behind you, where would your confidence be? And it's always a build-up scale. And they'll always say it would, it would be way up here. Okay. And if you're confident enough, would you ask for the help and question needed to get you to where you want to go, who you want to be? And it's always that build-up from that point. And again, people are really usually emotional at this point because they're working on something specific. Okay. And so, yeah, and so as you finish here, and you may or may not make it to this place in an entire session, this is definitely a full hour using a proper, get present and allow the horses to choose at the beginning. You're going to be a solid hour. At this place, they're at the talking triangle. They've narrowed it down to 1 or 2 places that they really need to show up and get authentic on this stuff. And so then I usually leave them with a couple of questions. Number 1 is, how have you changed today? And I think that's really powerful as opposed to, did you enjoy that session? How have you changed today? And based on how you've changed, what will you do with how you've changed to make different decisions in the next 2 weeks or the next week or whatever it is? Or again, it could be something specific. How are you going to make it based on how you've changed? How are you going to do something different and make a decision to change that relationship or whatever that piece is? So I'm going to say the word done properly. Done properly, this is an absolutely powerful foundational exercise that will give you pieces of, their trust is low in themselves. Their confidence is really high because it's backed by help and questions. Again, you're going to know some pieces. When I say done properly, it's allowing the horse to reflect what's needed in the person based on the theme you're working. The theme just being, are you working on choice? Are you working on help? And in there, we all have strong places and we all have places that, I never leave myself options, or I will never ask for help and I'm overconfident, or whatever it is. Okay. And so allowing them at that talking triangle, a few minutes, I like to give a bucket of oats or something, allow them to sit with their horse and just go through. It's deeply reflective at this point. Okay. So I'm just going to finish up here. I'll turn off the recording. Anybody can ask any questions, but I hope that not only made sense, I hope that it really gave an insight on how you can facilitate in the unknown moments, because it's not about us. We're not therapists, but our horses provide absolutely incredible therapy if we allow them to. Okay, we just ask great questions. That's all we do as facilitators. And so I hope that helps as a foundational piece, and know that your space does not need to look like my space. You need a few goalposts. You just need an area for them to move. Could be in a round pen. Okay. So next round pen, our next round pen is January 16th at 1, and I'm actually going to get Jessica and 1. We're always going to do the same time. Okay, so it's 1 PST, which just means find out the time in where you are. Okay, Jess, if you want to unmute, are you able to jump on quick just to go over what's happening in the next round pen?
Yeah, absolutely. I just kind of wanted to touch on that exercise though. It is a phenomenal one to use. And as Tamara said, don't focus on the barrels or the logs or whatever you've got. Like, to give you an example, I've used this exercise or the principles of it in simply haltering a horse. You give someone a halter, put the halter on the horse, and often it will be like backwards, this way, that way, and nobody asks for help. So like this can start from as soon as you enter your herd or wherever it is, and like just stick, like have those the help and the question, the confidence, the trust, the choices and options. Like that's what this is all about, not the barrels or the halter, like, you know. So yeah, it's really powerful. I love always coming back to this. So yeah, the next round pen is going to be how to take ownership of your horse facilitated development business to the next level in 2023. We're really going to focus on setting your goals. Like, what does this year look like? How can you create the biggest impact for your herd, your clients, and yourself? So there is a little PDF that we have made to kind of help you journal and track some goals. If you go to the files in the round pen, it is under there. I believe it's called Entrepreneur Mindset. So yeah, we really look forward to chatting in the new year, and it's the perfect time of year to do this kind of thought process.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Jess. I'm going to just stop share, try to see if I can stop recording, and take any questions.